Excuse me, this is Wax. This is Wax's podcast, episode 102, and as I often do, I skipped a few weeks. It's December 2nd today. December 2nd. We are creeping up on the holiday season. Some would even argue it is the holiday season. Is the holiday season just the end of December and the beginning of January? I would say the holiday season is Thanksgiving through January 2nd. Some would maybe even possibly argue that Halloween kicks it off. I like to argue that January 1st through December 31st is my holiday season. I vacate as much as possible. It's like I don't vacate as much as possible, but I will say that this podcast has been dormant. This podcast has been idle. And when I say idle, I don't mean American Idol. I mean idle as in it doesn't move at all. I don't mean false idol like the fucking Moses' followers worshipped eventually because he took too long to get back down from that mountain. Yes, that's a biblical reference, but it's not because I read the Bible. It's because back in the day I saw the old movie, The 10 Commandments. Moses went up there. God gave him our 10 rules, and it took him so long to get to the top of the mountain and for God to appear that by the time Moses got back, all the people that followed him were worshiping a golden calf. And most people thought that it was a golden calf like a small cow, but it actually was a calf as in the muscle on the back of your shin area of your leg. That was a really cute cough there. Sorry, as usual, I'm a little bit sick because I live an unhealthy lifestyle. Recently, I've been living way unhealthier than normal, except for today. Today is the day where I'm turning it around for a little while. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat healthily. But Jesus Christ. You know what kicked it off, I think, was my sister's wedding. I can't remember the exact date of what was it? My sister's wedding was October 23rd. So I went back to Maryland and, weddings are festive. You drink, you eat. Got back here, and in a couple weeks, I took a trip to Nashville, Tennessee. I can't remember if I talked about on the podcast that I was going to go to Nashville, but I did that, and then I got back, and then there was like a week, and then there's Thanksgiving. So I'm in bad shape, man. A lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, a lot of eating chicken and waffles and just buttery fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Thanksgiving, the gluttonous holiday. And I indulged. So I'm a lot out of shape and just trying to get back into shape. You know what I'm saying? Not that I ever was in shape, but I'm going to try to not be a total lost cause. So I went to the gym today. I got on the little elliptical machine and I stood in place. How come they can't use all the fucking people at the gym that are doing this worthless exercise, using all this energy on machines that also use an energy, the electric energy? There was some show I watched. I think it was called like Black Moon. Was it Black Moon or Blood Moon or something like that? It's like a 6-part series, and one of them depicts the future. And the way that everything is powered is just a bunch of human beings on bikes that are in place, and the energy they use is what powers everything. And I feel like I don't see why we couldn't figure out a way to do something like that now. If you took every gym in the area and took every bit of human energy and turned it into some type of real energy, electricity, I think we could power a lot of homes. And imagine that, just turning the overpopulation problem into a blessing. Because there's a lot of people that just use energy. They just go out there and they eat their food. You know the way that energy works, guys. Energy is measured in calories. So you go out there and you eat your fucking meal, which is however many calories. Who knows how many calories it took to create that meal? Who knows how many calories it took that animal or plant to fucking live its life before it was killed for your eating purposes? But the calories go into you, and then you go to the gym and you use your calories on nothing. I mean, you're being healthy. It's a selfish. Whether it's for your looks or whether it's to be healthier, whatever it is, it's for yourself. And you're giving all the energy that you're giving away, regardless, is not used. It just kind of goes away. And sometimes the machines that you're using are using energy in themselves. I don't understand that. Why can't we just convert that energy? Scientists, any scientists that listen to Wax's podcast, there's an idea for you. I don't even need credit. Just say it was your idea. I'm sure that nobody's thought of it before, especially considering there's a fucking TV show depicting it. What the fuck? Okay. I've been gone from the podcast. I looked last time I did a podcast was November 11th. Today's December 2nd, so I've been gone for like 3 weeks, y'all, and I apologize for that. But it was kind of a vacation-y type of vibe that made it like that. Like last week, I was down in San Diego with my brother for Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving was that Wednesday, and I was doing family things. The week before that, I was in Nashville, Tennessee, y'all. Nashville, Tennessee. I think it was a week before that. I don't remember exact dates, but me and my friend, female compadre, we went down to Nashville, Tennessee. I've always wanted to go down there and just take it. For some reason, I'm having trouble focusing today, y'all. I'm thinking about all this stuff because I have a little something that I did recently that I didn't even tell you about yet. I have all this shit on my mind because I just moved. I think I mentioned that I was going to move in the last podcast, but I am reporting to you from my new crib. My new crib in Sherman Oaks, California. I live in a house again. I now live in a house again. So during this podcast, I've had various places that I reported to you from. Now, this is the first one from my new crib in Sherman Oaks, California. I live with my friend Davey. I will also be living with my friend Camila. I think she gets here tomorrow to move in. And today I pretty much finally finished moving in all my shit. And it's awesome. This place is the shit. We got a studio in here that I'm talking to you, from now. The master bedroom is actually what we converted to a studio. Everything else is, it's a 3-bedroom house, but it's really a 4-bedroom house. I don't know why they call it a 3-bedroom house, because we all have a bedroom and we use the master bedroom as the studio. So, point being, I just want to be in the moment. I want to be present during the podcast and just let my words flow and ramble. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking of all this shit. Moving is quite a process. You know what I mean? And there's always it just develops into this this mental picture, a rolling pin. Don't picture a rolling pin. Picture, it looks like a rolling pin. Picture a receipt that's inside of the machine that prints receipts, and it's in the shape of a rolling pin, and it's moving like a rolling pin. It's one of those sheets. It's a cylinder that's placed sideways. It's like a fucking roll of toilet paper or a roll of anything. It's a roll of receipt, and it's just constantly moving, and there's lines on it with different things that you have to do. It's like a fucking scroll that's constantly going through your head of stuff you have to do, tasks you have to take care of, itemized tasks, and it gets you to the point where you just, I don't know, you don't feel present, man. But that's how I feel right now. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I'm here. Pretty proud of myself today. I bought myself a cheap propane grill. I know some of you guys are thinking, propane? Real men use charcoal and it tastes better. I have a little charcoal grill. But, Davey's a vegetarian, and he's gone all the time. And charcoal is a production, man. Charcoal takes a long time to do. You got to put the charcoal in there. You got to fucking let it turn gray. You got to fucking blah, blah, blah. You got to blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to cook one hamburger. I'm just trying to cook one bratwurst for myself. Does it have to take a fucking hour? So I will make the sacrifice of taste. I will make the sacrifice of manliness and fucking get my little propane grill, go out there, turn it on just like it's a stove, throw my little chicken breast or whatever in there, let it cook and heat for the appropriate amount of time, then get it, put it on a plate, and turn the fucking thing off. Because I'm not here to cook for I'm not here to cook for a party. I'm not here to cook for 10 people. I'm not here to cook for the Chinese army. I'm here to cook for myself. I don't need an abundance of meat products for a large group. I need a very small amount of meat products, just enough for like I said earlier, just enough for the calories that I need to get the things that I need done with the energy that I need to exude in order to do them. So don't you come at me with some email. Email me, beatsforwax@gmail.com. If you want to email me at that email, don't give me any shit about the fact that I got a propane grill. I'm really going all over the place today, but I bought a grill, y'all. Shitty, cheap. Dude, it was fucking $80. $80 brand new at Home Depot. Like just a shitty grill that I just, I figure if I get 15 uses out of it, I got my money's worth. I'm going to get a lot more. Had to assemble it myself on some IKEA shit. But of course, I did it correctly in a pretty decent amount of time. I didn't end up... Whenever I get like some dresser from IKEA, not that I get that often, but I have before, you end up fucking... How come I have like 3 extra screws and another extra piece, but it still looks fine? That happens often at IKEA, but guess what? This time I used exactly the right amount of pieces, and the grill is sturdier than fuck. It is sturdy as fuck! But I'm actually excited, man. I forgot to do the podcast this morning, so I did it now. But in the back of my head, I think the reason that I don't feel present in the moment and I'm not really concentrating on the words that I'm saying is because I just bought a bunch of food. Like literally like 15 minutes ago, I walked in with the first propane tank on my grill, and I got fucking chicken. I got a fucking butternut squash. I didn't even know what it was. I wanted to grill some squash, and I've heard of butternut squash. And whenever I think I've had it at a restaurant before, and it's just butternut squash just looks enormous. And I was like, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna fucking grill butternut squash tonight. And I think that butternut squash is on my mind. I'm trying to do the podcast. In the back of my mind, there's like a little hamster going, butternut squash, butternut squash, butternut squash. How do you grill it? What are you going to do? Are you going to Google recipes? I don't know what I'm going to do. I think it's going to be pretty easy. I think I'll just cut it up, put a little oil on there, put a little olive oil, salt and pepper, throw that bitch on the grill. I got some fucking peppers, onions, some chicken, some marinade. And I'm thinking about that shit. I should have, the podcast, the podcast doesn't come first anymore, but today it came. Well, first, if there's only 2 things. I did a lot of other stuff today before the podcast. So the podcast actually came like 8th or 9th today. But whatever number the podcast is, the grilling comes the next number. Okay. So yeah, I'm in my new house now. Congratulations to me. I literally just moved in I'm still really in the process of moving in. I haven't put stuff on the wall yet. I did manage to go through a lot of my old shit and gather up just enough shit to probably have a yard sale. I like yard sales, man. I don't know. I was about to say, any of you guys ever had a yard sale? Sometimes on this podcast, I want to ask a question as if you're an audience so that can actually reply to me. But yard sale, if you're not familiar with the reason why yard sales are awesome, especially if you live in a place like Los Angeles, in a place like just an urban place, a heavily populated place. If you put your fucking yard sale on Craigslist, no matter what time you started at, there will be a solid 5 to 10 people there at your address 15 minutes before your time. Because there's a fucking subgenre of people. I think I might have talked about it on a podcast way, way back when I did to my other yard. So there's a subgenre of people called yard sale people. And they're fucking weird. They're interesting. They're hustlers. They're competitive. And they just want to get a fucking bargain on an old fucking fan. They just want... It's less about the product and more about them fucking you over. It's more about them thinking that it's more about swindling, It's like they're trying to get one over on you, and what they do is they put stuff in piles. They'll be like, let me get this, and this. How much for all that? And then they'll do everything really fast, try to get one over on you. I don't know what they do with the stuff afterwards. I have two theories, and that's probably just two different reasons. The people are hoarders. They go to yard sales and they like swindling, and then when they get it back, they put this yard sale stuff with their other yard sale junk they buy every weekend when they go to yard sales. Or B, they not only go to yard sales a lot, but they have yard sales a lot. And what I mean by that is they take pleasure in buying a Frisbee for 25 cents and then later selling it for 75. Even though they spent way more than the 50 cents difference on transportation from yard sale and back, it's a brain thing. It's a power thing. And it's that feeling of you won. It's the feeling of winning that they enjoy, I think. And I don't blame them. We all like to win. We all want to fucking win. So I think I'm going to have a yard sale. Maybe not this weekend. I'll wait till Camila gets here, see if she's got anything to throw in with it. I can tell you a couple things that I have. I have a dish drying rack. I have a paper cutter. Used to belong to Watsky. He now lives in New York. Doesn't want his paper cutter. Should have had him sign it. I have various wires and cables. I have 2 racquetball rackets. I have 2 deflated basketballs, but don't worry about the fact that they're deflated because I have a basketball pump as well. What the people don't know is that I'm pretty sure the pump doesn't work. We'll find out when they test it in front of me because any skilled yard sale person isn't going to buy that pump without sticking that fucking needle in that fucking ball and giving it a couple fucking pumps. Okay? I want to be a political... I want to have a political show where I cuss all the time and get mad. I just don't care enough to actually do it. I just think I'd be good at it if I gave a fuck. So, what the fuck? What other items did I have in that box for sale? The basketballs, random. I got I can't remember what else is there. I think I got a Frisbee. Doesn't matter. But stay tuned. Stay tuned. Maybe next week I'll have a yard sale. Speaking of yard sales, soon, I'm not sure when. As I've said on this podcast before, another thing that I have, and I have to actually go to my I got to go to my storage space this week. I think I might have told y'all, regular podcast listeners, not only did I have an apartment and a studio, music studio, I also rent out a storage space, which is mostly for merchandise, like shit that says wax on it that I never sold. And I have a pretty good amount of stuff. I know I got tons of ping pong balls. I got the Scrub Life red cups. I got a bunch of T-shirts. I think I still have some CDs, some hard copies of some of my old mixtapes and albums and whatnot. And what I'm going to do is, since now I have this house and I have plenty of storage space, I'm going to empty that shit this week, which, there's a couple other things that aren't just merch in there. So hopefully I have even more yard sale items. And I just because I won't be able to do it in time for like Christmas present stuff. So I think I'm just going to do it in January. I'm gonna sell this shit for cheap. I'm gonna figure out how to do like an online. I want to call it an online yard sale, and just sell this stuff for super fucking cheap. And so stay tuned for that. Speaking of merchandise, if you don't want something for super cheap, if you want something for regular price, there is still available, I believe, a couple left. I think the Rough Night Recovery Kit. I think there's still some left. So if you go to wax.com. Check out the merchandise section. The Live and Foul Wax album, autographed by me, Wax. A T-shirt, a coffee mug, rolling papers, and what's the other thing? Sunglasses, cheap sunglasses. And I'm not saying that I meant that in a good way, like the ZZ Top song. Oh, buy some shades of cheap sunglasses. Da, 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 oh yeah. But that's saying it ain't like they're fucking Versace. You know what I mean? They are cheap. So yeah, it has those 5 and a T-shirt. The T-shirt's awesome, actually. It's probably the best T-shirt I've done. So check that out. Get one for yourself or get one for your friend for Christmas. Plus, you're helping me out too. And what else? Yeah, that's my little promotional material for the day. I'm not fucking trying to sell anything else. I guess go buy my album, Living Foul. You can get it on fucking. There's shops. Some independent record stores actually carry a physical copy. Get it on fucking iTunes, CD. No, not CD, baby. Amazon. It's on Spotify. Believe it's on Apple Music. It's on all that shit. It's definitely on Apple Music. Now I believe. So yeah, make sure you cop that. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna be working on some new music ASAP. I've worked on some a little bit, but the past couple weeks I've been like just traveling and getting fat and just eating fucking butter. Dude, my fucking trip to Nashville was so dope, man. I don't know if any guys live in Nashville or been to Nashville, but I love music towns. You know, like I love Austin, Texas. I love New Orleans. I love New York City. I love L.A., Philadelphia. I mean, every town is a music town because people love music everywhere. But like, there's certain towns. Nashville is interesting because it's a country, the country music capital of the world. Like almost all the country music that you hear is made in this town, and it's an awesome place, man. Especially if you've been living in L.A. for a while, you forget that people that live on the outskirts of town sometimes, especially in the South or in the Midwest, like you got space, man. That you can buy a house with an enormous yard, have tons of space, and live pretty close to an amazing sort of hipsterized country southern town. And I went there, I had a great time, man. Great time. Saw a lot of good live music. Drank a lot of whiskey and beer. Just had an all-around fun time. Did some tourist shit. Went to the Johnny Cash Museum. Walked around downtown. Went to the Pantheon. Is it the Pantheon or the Parthenon? I can't remember. Fuck. I sound dumb, but whichever one of those is from in ancient Greece, they rebuilt it near Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's, it was actually kind of interesting to see the history of that thing. Really interesting time in American history when that was built. Really interesting. And so yeah, we saw a lot of live music. I saw live music every night. Sometimes it was like we saw some like just country cover bands and weird bars. We saw some original music. We saw some like just crazy musicality. Went to the Grand Ole Opry. Saw Charlie Daniels. If you don't know Charlie Daniels, he's mostly known for The Devil Went Down to Georgia. He's a fiddle player. He's got to be old. He's old as shit now, but he was still wilding out, man. And it was really, it's just a different attitude down there too, man. It's just different, And it was cool because my friend that I went with, she had never really spent time in the American South. She's a West Coast chick, California girl. And the first night we get there with the Grand Ole Opry, and the first guy, he's probably like 50 years old, country singer, dressed to the nines, little rhinestone fucking suit, And in between songs, he's saying political shit. And let me paint the picture first. We're at the Ryman Auditorium, which is the Grand Ole Opry, the most famous country venue in the world, in Nashville, Tennessee. It was built in like the 1880s as a church, became a music venue in the early 1900s, and it's the most famous fucking country venue. And the way they do their show is it's like a review. So they'll have like 10 acts, and each act will play like 2 songs. By the way, as a side note, it's really interesting. It's so like music business like there. like when they announce the next act, they'll be like, "This is Jesse Daniels, and he's gonna perform his first single. He just got signed to RCA Records, and his first single just went gold on the charts and 500,000." So like every single person, and then they get up there like, "Hey, my name's Jesse Daniels. This is my new single. Tex is gonna do it for you, and this is my new single. Truck. This is my new single. Baby done left me, but I'll be drinking," or whatever the fuck it's called, and it's just that they always mention their record, all this businessy shit, and like it's a big sale. It's very sales driven, but it's just trying to illustrate that it's a real music business focused town. It's not just a music town; it's a music business town. And So the first guy who was kind of like the host for the first couple of acts, I don't remember his name, probably 50 years old, maybe 55. And in between his songs, he started getting political. And mind you that this audience, I don't think that there was any. It was probably about 2,000, maybe 2,500 people there. There wasn't many people there that were younger than 60, and there was nobody there, with the exception of the girl that I was with and maybe 2 other people. There was nobody there that wasn't white. It was like old white Southern audience. And this guy started talking politics, and of course the politics he's talking is red state politics. And it was just cool to watch the girl that I was with just be kind of like, he was saying stuff that if you had said this in Silver Lake or if you said this in Portland, Oregon, like people would be booing you. Like, but there it was not like that. And you know, it was just it was right after the Paris incident, and it was interesting to see that, and it was especially interesting because I've spent tons of time in the South. I grew up in an area where there's a lot of redness to it. You know what I mean? So it was just interesting to see. Somebody here? Hello? Thought somebody was here. A little creepy now. Living in this big house. This is an old house. It's fucking awesome though. It's fucking awesome. Can't believe we live here. This is gonna be nice. Anyway, yeah, like I said, like for me traveling, it's one if you go to if you go to Paris and you see the buildings and the Eiffel Tower, if you go to a place with really interesting architecture, it's one thing. But if you're traveling in the United States, it's really not about the sights. It's about the people, in my opinion. Like it's about I like to talk to people. I like to fucking see what people are all about in a place. If you go to like somewhere where it's like totally different than some shit you've been to, it's one thing. It might be more like 50-50 architecture / sites, and then the other 50% people. And really more than anything, food and drink, I think, actually. I'd take whatever that equation is. Point being, I've traveled a lot in the United States. I've been almost everywhere in the United States. So I'm not going to be like real surprised by the way things look. But I still love talking to people and getting people's general vibes on shit. And when we were in Nashville, we're taking Lyft everywhere. If somehow you don't know what Lyft is, it's an app on your phone. It's just like Uber. And we're taking Lyft, and the most fun people to talk to there were the Lyft drivers. An example of a really interesting day we had with Lyft drivers is we went somewhere in the morning from the hotel to this tourist shit we wanted to go to. And the guy that drove us there, really fucking nice guy, really just happy and upbeat guy. And it turned out he was from Baghdad. He was a refugee from Baghdad. He'd been in Nashville for a year and a half, and his dad had gotten killed by ISIS. And he knew I think he had some family in Nashville, and he fucking moved there, and he started driving for Lyft, and he was really happy to have fled that area. I don't know, maybe it's all an act, and he's fucking planning to blow up the Grand Ole Opry. I have no fucking idea, but it sure didn't fucking seem like that. Real pleasant, real nice guy. And on the way back from the place we were going, we had a probably around 50-year-old chick, white chick, drove us back. And she had, she was Southern and everything. And I got to talking to her. And we started talking. I don't remember why, but she started saying that her heritage. She was German. She started saying that her background is German, and she's always wanted to go to Germany. And then at one point in the conversation, she was like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Germany, but now I can't. Now I can't go to Germany." And I was like, "Oh, why not?" And she looked at me like I was crazy. Like I thought maybe something was wrong with her passport. Or I don't know what the fuck. But she looked at me like I was crazy and said, "'Cause the Muslims took it over." Like she thinks that you can't go to Germany because the Muslims took it over. I don't know where she learned that. I guess Fox News or something like that. And I know that there's like problems over there with shit, but like she thinks that you can't go there. She thinks that going to Germany. And I've been to Germany relatively recently, y'all. I mean, unless something's drastically changed in the last year or two, like It's pretty fucking white. But either way, like if it's a lot of Muslims there, if it's a lot of whatever's going on, I'm sure that you can travel there. I'm sure that it's not any fucking more dangerous than here in the United States. And I just thought it was interesting. You can't let this stuff affect yourself, man. The fucking way they try to scare you, the way that the fucking terrorism is, you can't let them fucking scare you. If you want to go to fucking Paris, go to fucking Paris. If you want to go to Germany, go to Germany. You can't let them scare you. I mean, don't go to Syria right now. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Don't go to a blatant war zone. But don't let them think that you can't go to these places. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I just thought that was interesting. Another interesting thing that happened as far as talking to somebody in Nashville. This involved talking to two people. First of all, I talked to there was an old guy who drove a BMW for Lyft. He was probably like 65, 70. Really fucking nice guy, and he was a Nashville native. And I was talking to him, and he was telling me, that Nashville never was a big food town. It's always had good food. It's always had like good Southern cooking and shit like that. But now it's like on some hipster shit, like chicken and waffles with fucking phenyramulade fucking reduction or whatever. Like there's a Southern hint, but it's like it's a foodie town, as everywhere is. It's like a hipster craft beer, fucking specialty cocktails, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's a foodie town. And he explained to me that it wasn't like that 15, 20 years ago. And it's just a recent thing. And I think a big part of that is the Food Network. I think cable television and the internet played a big role in that. Like now people in Nashville, you just turn on your TV and you can discover all this shit. Whereas back in the day, people didn't really even know about these fancy foods. I think it's kind of cool. So, needless to say, I had so much good food down there. I was just loving it down there. Like, just fucking grits, chicken and waffles. Their specialty is hot chicken, which is like fried chicken with kind of like a spicy. I mean, it's just like it tastes like hot sauce, like hot, almost buffalo-y. But that was amazing. It's kind of like whatever. And then just barbecue. What other stuff did I have down there? Had ribs, had a bunch of fried chicken. I had biscuits and gravy, mad biscuits. But it was good. And what I wanted to say is an interesting thing is even though Nashville is now this big foodie town, one morning I was at my hotel and about to head out and get breakfast. I'm a big breakfast person. I love breakfast food. I love Southern breakfast food, which is really not that different. It's fucking bacon and eggs and shit, but there's a little bit more butter in there, a little more sugar, a little more syrup on them pancakes, a little more butter on them pancakes. But I asked the girl who was cleaning the room next to mine. She was a housekeeper, probably about 35, Southern girl, black girl. And I said, "Excuse me." She said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm about to go to breakfast. I was wondering if you had to recommend me like the best breakfast place to eat in Nashville, what would you recommend me?" And she fucking scratched her head and she thought about it. She looked at me in the eye and she said, "I would say IHOP." Swear to God, dude. I asked her out of this foodie town where if you look on Yelp for breakfast places, there's hundreds, at least 100. Well, there's way more than 100 places you could eat breakfast, but I'm talking about 4 stars on Yelp. There's a solid 65. You know what I mean? But she said IHOP, and I just thought it was interesting, and I think about this shit all the time. How some hipster over there that's working at what was that place we went to? It's awesome, actually. Awesome hipster place called, I can't remember. But as he's over there making his fucking cranberry mojito, She lives a couple blocks down. If I asked him the best place to eat breakfast, he probably would have told me 5 different places and what they got and all this shit. She said IHOP. And I just always think it's interesting when people live in the same place but kind of live in a different world when it comes to certain shit. And I think that hipster shit is one of them, and just like fancy places and nice places. Another thing that happened involving a housekeeper the last day I was there. We had a flight at like 5 p.m., so we wanted to just kind of chill in the hotel room. I didn't ask for a late checkout, but it was Saturday when we left, so Saturday night it was fucking booked. So you're supposed to check out at 11. Housekeeper knocks at 11. I say, no, I can't. I'm not done yet, because we had gone out late the night before. She comes back at 12:15. Fucking knocks on the door. I fucking stumble to the door like, hey, can we get like a late checkout? And she started fucking yelling at me, man. She's like, no, you can't. No, you can't. It's 12:15. No, you can't. And I called down the door. I called down to the desk to try to plead my case. And lo and behold, he said, I won't forget his name was DeAndre. He said, this is DeAndre with the front desk, man. How may I help you? And I said, hey, man, I'm in room, blah, blah, blah. I need trying to get a late. He's like, no, you can't. So that whole day I was annoying the girl I was with. I kept on saying, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. Do you want this? No, you can't. Do you have that? No, you can't. Do you want this? No, you can't. NYC. No, you can't. So yeah, there's really no point to any of that. No immediate point. I just done a lot of shit recently. Went to Nashville and moved and had Thanksgiving and missed doing the podcast a bunch of different times. So I'm a little bit behind on the emails. But I did answer some this week, and I'm ready to do questions and shout outs if you are. All right. Let's see what we got here. Like I said, I'm pretty far back, so if I don't give you a shout out or read your email or anything, it's because I haven't gotten to you yet. I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I'm probably a month back on the podcast. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm at least a month back on the emails, so I apologize for that. Shout outs this week. Gio from Boston. We got Petey Machete, a.k.a. Pete the Meat, because everyone has a name like that, he says. Pete the Meat. I actually like Petey Machete way better than Pete the Meat. But hey, I know what you're trying to do. That's kind of become a thing, and you're trying to get down. You know what I mean? So I am mad at it. I wonder what kind of meat he's talking about. Is he talking about man meat? Is he talking about a meet and greet and spelled it wrong? What the fuck am I talking about, man? Okay, we got Tyler H. We got Gus the Bus. And coming in after that, it happened to rhyme with Gus the Bus. We got Envious. Envious with an M, as in marsupial. We got Ryan T, who recommends the Ichima remix, which is awesome, featuring the homie Dumbfounded, who I haven't talked to in a minute. I haven't talked to him in a fucking minute. I gotta fucking get back in touch with some of my friends here, y'all. I'm losing touch with some of my good friends. I don't know why, but now that I'm moved in here, I got a house. I got a house where people can gather. It's actually a really fucking dope place to have people over, to be honest with you. I'll probably get kicked out of it due to the old lady that lives next door that probably can hear me talking right now. But the interesting thing about the next door neighbor here, she's really close by and she's really old. Not like an old lady like 7 years old. She's like 100 years old. And I'm hoping that she's old enough that she's actually a little bit hard of hearing. So that when we're loud, she doesn't complain. She just can't hear it. I think you get the point. We got Puya from Iran. We got Tomi from Finland, who recommends the documentary Tales of the Grim Sleeper. I can't remember what he said it was about because I didn't actually just do this email thing. I was supposed to do a podcast that's what happened. I was going to do a podcast last week. The reason I didn't was fucking Thanksgiving. That's what happened last week. We got Ryota the Floater. Everybody doing the rhyming names now. So I guess it's supposed to be Ryota the Floater. He's from the UK. You would think he's from Japan with the name Ryota. However, maybe he's of Japanese background. Maybe he just has the name Ryota. What the fuck do I know or care? All right, we got keeping with the tradition. Oh, Ryota the Floater said, keeping with the, in parentheses, he said, keeping with the tradition of rhyming names from Nate the Plate. I was given the floater from my swimming club coach when I was much younger. I assume that probably means you were not the fastest of swimmers. But what do I know? Maybe it means you didn't sink. Maybe you stayed on top of the water and just were so fast it looked like you were floating. Then we got Dizzy from Saskatchewan, way up there. And then we got Cliffy L. So funny, man. People out here be complaining about the weather. My roommate Davey was talking about how cold it is outside last night. And it is a little chilly. And if you're not used to it, I mean, we dress for Southern California out here. You know, Dizzy from Saskatchewan's probably up there wearing a fucking walrus neck pelt. We're down here wearing like a fucking t-shirt. And, of course, we're going to be just as cold as he is if we ain't prepared for it. So there's no point to that story either. Let's go. We got Terrell the hockey player. Yo, what up, Big Wax? Can't wait to hear the album. Coming soon. That goes to show you how far back I am in the emails. Fuck, that album came out like a month and like 5 weeks ago, and I'm still reading emails from people that can't wait for it to come out. I'm gonna try to fix that. I'm gonna try to catch up I'm gonna try to like just do maybe next week I'll have a lot of questions. I don't fucking know. Don't want to overload it with questions and shout outs, but I think I might have asked you this question before, but why is everything digital? What happened to the good old-fashioned CD disc? I miss it, and I want to know if you will be selling any physical copies of your album. That's all, just wondering. It would be cool to pick up an album at Amoeba. Anywho, have a good one. I'll think of a good question next week. Haha. Well, they do sell them at Amoeba. You can get my album at Amoeba. That's one of the independent stores that does, in fact, sell a compact disc with my dumb face on the front of it that says Live and Foul. You can also get the CD if you pick up the Rough Night Recovery Kit. You can get a physical CD on Amazon.com, so check that out. Terrell the hockey player. We got Anthony next. Yo, Wax, you know I had to email you for the 100th episode. Congratulations. I will listen to this podcast forever. Hopefully I'll just I'm going to try to keep this shit going until I die. Whether I miss a few weeks, I'm going to try to just keep it going. You know, like I should be on way higher than 100 episodes, but I mean, even the fact that this is episode 102 and I'm reading a pre-100th episode thing on here, you know, you get my point. He recommends David Chloe's Dirty Hands documentary, and in parentheses it says, it changed my life. Damn, I should check that out. It changed my life. Now I gotta like do a little mini research while I'm reading, because I don't. David Chloe. David Chloe. Oh, I thought there was an L. It's David Cho. David Cho, the artist, right? David Cho's the artist who did the fucking the Facebook thing, right? If I remember correctly. Dirty Hands, the Art and Crimes of David Cho. Okay, well it's David Cho, CHOE. My bad. I believe he's the one who, like, when Facebook first came out, he was commissioned to paint something at the Facebook office. Instead of taking like $40,000, he took shares in Facebook and it turned into like $2 million. I believe that's the same guy. All right, so I'll have to check that out too. Question: what are some weird situations you have witnessed while living in LA? Congratulations again, Anthony. Well, Jesus, I've witnessed a lot of weird situations living in LA. 2 different times in Venice when I lived there. I'll tell 2 quick stories that are both involved things that happened to me twice when I lived somewhere. When I lived in Venice, there was 2 different times where I was driving down the street and I saw a homeless man masturbating on the side of the street. That happened twice. And when I first moved to LA, I lived in East Hollywood, which is the area known as Little Armenia. And I lived in an apartment right there by Santa Monica and like Vermont. And I took out my trash and threw it in the dumpster that was in front of my building. And when I threw it in there, I heard, "All right, wait, come on, man, I'm in here." And there was like a homeless guy in the dumpster. And I was like, "Dog, you can't get mad at me. I'm doing what's supposed to be done. You're the one that's inside the dumpster." And A couple months later, it happened again. So those two things that happened twice when I was in LA. So thanks for your question, Anthony. Who do we got here? This is Dominic from the Valley. Yo, what's up, Wax? This is Roland the Colon. Roland, the Colon. Nice. Wait. Okay, that's not Dominic from the Valley then. That's gonna be who the next one is from. All right, this is from Roland the Colon. That means I'm the shit, by the way. And that's right, I upped the ante with a 2-syllable rhyme. Go ahead. Even though you already got, Ryota the Floater, that's a 2-syllable rhyme. So you're tied. And I know some people would say that doesn't rhyme, but it does. It's just called a slant rhyme or an imperfect rhyme or a consonantal rhyme. Consonantal. How do you say consonant with an AL? Like consonantal? I don't know. Or a pararhyme, etc., etc. You must be some kind of like either a poet or like a rapper that like really goes for it in that sense. Anyway, on podcast number 99, you recommended Johnny Cash and Lord Finesse. The funny thing is, before you recommended Lord Finesse, I was thinking about recommending him. I was also reminded of an album by Rashad the Confidence because the front cover for their album, The Element of Surprise, looks similar to Lord Finesse and DJ Mike Smooth's Funky Technician album. Damn, you're a real hip-hop historian. That's taking it back there. I remember I don't remember it, but like I remember hearing about it, and I actually just went back recently and listened. I really discovered Lord Finesse recently. I knew who he was back in the day, but I didn't listen to him. And his rhymes at that time, his rhyme patterns and skills. You must be like a real like rhyme head to say all that shit about rhyme and then mention that album because it was way ahead of his time, man. Lord Finesse, if you don't know who that is, it's like early 90s. Maybe even late 80s for his first shit, but it was more like early 90s. And if you compare the way he was rhyming with the way other people were in his era, he was way ahead. Like on some Big L shit, like maybe not at the level of Big L, but before Big L. I think he was actually one of Big L's proteges, to be honest with you. I can't really remember, but I recommend The Element of Surprise as podcast listeners. Now to my questions. I remember you mentioning something about a concert or something you and your brother did for Burger King or some restaurant, I think. If you know what I'm talking about, I was wondering if you ever plan to release the footage. Well, what you're talking about is my hometown is a really small town, especially when I grew up there. It's a little bigger now. It looks like, now it's got a Walmart and 5 fucking Starbucks like every other town. It looks like every other town in America. But it's basically super suburban now. When I grew up there, it was pretty much rural. And it was a big deal when the town got a McDonald's. Like that town had never had anything there before, and it was such a big deal that McDonald's had a grand opening. I actually ended up working when I was 15. The McDonald's opened, and they had like a truck that folded out into a stage, where like kids could watch like this was back when like Ronald McDonald was a big part of McDonald's. Like Ronald McDonald and the Hamburglar and Grimace would do like a little show. But at this particular time, they had an opening band for the show, and that was my band, McGregor, me, my brother, and my boy Frage. We got the whole thing on video still. It's just not the fucked up thing is it's not an interesting video. Like the camera never moves. Like I think my dad filmed it, and he was sitting down the entire time in one place. And it's not that high quality, blah, 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 blah. But it's interesting. To me, it's interesting to see like what kind of stuff we were playing back then. Really like old Red Hot Chili Peppers-y, you know what I mean? Like funk rock. We did some covers and we did a bunch of originals. But yeah, then a year later, I ended up working there at that same McDonald's. And it was not fun. Sucks to work at McDonald's. The only thing that sucks worse than working at McDonald's. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that suck worse than working at McDonald's. There's shittier jobs and obviously shittier fucking lives. But if you work at McDonald's, what sucks is if you also work at the McDonald's that's at the airport. It just seems like a way bigger pain in the ass just to still work at McDonald's. You know what I mean? On the other side of that, like there's probably like some places where there's like some real weird like fucking penthouse mall in Dubai that still happens to have a McDonald's. Like the nicest. I wonder what the nicest McDonald's in the world. You know what? Let's look it up. Hold on one second. The nicest McDonald's in the world. God damn, okay. In the world. The nicest McDonald's in the world. Fanciest McDonald's in the world. Let's see what Business Insider has to say about it. It's in Rotterdam. I've been to Rotterdam. McDonald's has opened a fancy new restaurant that looks like an Apple store. This is as of June of this year. It does look pretty fucking sweet, but it's still McDonald's. Oh, wow. Yeah, it looks like a coffee shop. It looks like, wow. It's pretty badass. So nice. It definitely is a nice McDonald's. And they got another one. Oh, that's just the old one. That's funny. They knocked out. They remodeled McDonald's. They had a super nice McDonald's already. Then they just made it even nicer. It looks like a hipster coffee shop. That's what it looks like. Concrete tables. You know, that's pretty nice. You know. The nicest McDonald's in the world. It's still McDonald's. Still McDonald's. Maybe they got nicer food over there. McDonald's is different everywhere. I remember in Canada that McDonald's has better chicken. And besides that was that's why you listen to Wax's podcast, to get fucking tidbits of information like that. Okay? Yeah, so I don't know about releasing that footage of us playing at the McDonald's. Also, on an earlier podcast, I remember saying how you met Dave Chappelle and you said he was looking pretty buff now. He still does stand-up, doesn't he? And if so, have you been to any of his shows? Are you asking me to answer, does Dave Chappelle do stand-up? You ain't got Google, dog? First of all, that was mad years ago. And yeah, he was real strong. I told the story on the podcast before. This is when I lived with EOM. The funniest thing, he did a couple funny things while he was at our apartment, but one thing, we had one of those chin-up bars, and he did like 20 chin-ups, and then he fucking got down and said I could do that all day, and he was all ripped and shit, and he looked into our TV and knocked on it, and said, "You better not be watching me," and if the TV was off, he was just fucking around. I don't know, I guess he still does stand-up, doesn't he? I don't fucking keep in touch with him. I'm not trying to. Thank you for the email, Roland the colon. I'm not trying to be mad at you for asking this question, but it's kind of ridiculous of you to ask me that. He still does stand up, doesn't he? I don't know. Let me talk to him. I don't know him like that. And if you have you been to any of his shows? I've been to a few of Dave Chappelle's shows actually. Back in the day, before I met him and know him so well. Back in the day, I went to one on the East Coast. And I've seen Dave Chappelle a few times around LA at just like comedy clubs, which is pretty cool to see. Somebody I've seen Louis C.K. in a small club. I've seen a lot of famous comedians in small comedy clubs. So that's one of the cool things about living in either Los Angeles or New York. You get to see just random shit like that you probably wouldn't see if you lived in Denver. You probably wouldn't see if you lived in Omaha. You probably wouldn't see if you lived in Butte, Montana. You probably wouldn't see if you lived in Bogota. He still does stand-up. Wait, I already did that. Sorry, I couldn't think of better questions. No, it's all good, Roland the colon. I appreciate you sending the email. Next, Dominic from the Valley. Dominic says, did you write Rosanna about a girl you met? If so, did you really meet her on a dash bus up in Van Nuys? Haha. Also, when you were taking public transportation, did you ever have any interesting encounters, conversations? I take the bus every day, and every once in a while I have a nice conversation with somebody on the bus or train. We go our separate ways. I'm always left wondering who they are and if I'll ever see them again later in life. There are so many people out there in this world, and it's kind of crazy to know we all have our unique stories. First of all, yeah, Rosanna was about a real chick. I didn't actually meet her on the dash bus in Van Nuys. I actually just wanted to rhyme Van Nuys with Grand Prize. I didn't actually meet her on the bus, but I was taking the Van Nuys dash bus a lot at that time because that was back when I got my DUI and I didn't have a driver's license for a year. And I became very familiar with Los Angeles public transportation. And the dash bus was only 25 cents. And I saw, a couple different times, I saw hot Latina girls on that bus and was certainly an inspiration for that. But the actual girl was not someone I met on the bus. Yeah, man, it is. I think the thought you're having, like, about how there's so many fucking people in the world. I have that thought almost on a daily basis. Like, dude, whenever you fly over a city and you just look down and you're like, holy shit. When you're at a, you're in Nashville and you see just all these you see a traffic jam and you're like, dude, I don't know hardly anybody. They're like, what? They're all these people, and it just makes you feel insignificant, but also that can be sad, or it can be kind of liberating to know that there's so many people, and to worry too much about life and about things is kind of ridiculous, Just try to enjoy it while you're here, right? We're just fucking animals. And as far as as far as public transportation incidents that happened to me, the only one I can really remember that stands out, I was sitting on the back seat of the bus, and across from me there was a guy who was just kind of like, I don't know how to describe him. He was kind of like the word that people have used is like squirrely, but this guy wasn't squirrely in like a nerd way. This guy was like just angry. He was like, you look at him and be like, damn, this dude just looks kind of angry, older guy. And I remember I was just sitting on the back of the bus, and I fucking I like accidentally looked at him. He was fucking staring at me like he wanted to kill me. And I remember I had headphones on. I took my headphones. I was like, what? And I guess I didn't recall doing it, and it surprised me that I did this. But he said, cover your mouth when you cough. And I guess I had coughed without covering my mouth, and he started telling me about how all the germs are spreading and whatnot. And he was just really mad at me, and he wouldn't stop staring at me. He wouldn't stop fucking staring at me. I guess that's not really that interesting of a story, but if he had seen the guy's face and the way he was looking at me, like I had fucking slapped his daughter. Yeah. Dominic from the Valley, thank you for your question. All right, this is Kevin from SoCal. Hey, Wax, I'm 21. I make beats and rap, although I'm more into making beats. I've been doing it for about 3 years now and starting to get a lot better. I struggle with depression and social anxiety and never have had the courage to perform my music publicly. Is this something that I should worry about this early on, or just focus on perfecting my craft? I'm hoping that if I keep at it, I will eventually build up the courage to get on stage. I know I have the talent, but like I said, the social anxiety thing is a huge burden. Thanks for your help. Let me start by saying, if you mostly make beats and like you're talking about performing at like a beat thing where like you just go up there and play your beats, I would have anxiety about that too, because it's an awkward performance. It's like you're not rapping, you're not singing, you're not DJing, you're just hitting play and then trying to get people hype. So there's going to be a natural anxiety about that. But there's also a natural sense of anxiety about getting on stage for anything, whether it's comedy or music or DJ or especially, in my opinion, to like make a speech. If you're the valedictorian or something, there's always going to be this anxiety. And if you're already suffering from depression and social anxiety, it could possibly make it even more difficult. But that said, I believe, if you're going to get, it's like if you're going to have, the best way to become immune to snake venom is to give yourself little bits of snake venom. And in that same way, the best way to overcome anxiety is to fucking throw yourself in situations where you have a lot of it. So what my point is, I think that being on stage could actually help with your social anxiety and depression. And always remember, man, like, and you'll hear this from fucking anybody who does stage stuff that's been doing it for a long time. Granted, some people, it's different now. It's fucking different now. But anybody that does something that involves live performance, where you have to do live performance in order to succeed in your art. And the reason why I say it's different now is because people develop a fan base with their music and videos and shit online, and then they go do their first show and it's sold out in front of 200 people and people already know the lyrics to your songs. That's not the same. Anybody who either did this shit in the old days or anybody who does stand-up comedy and did it in the old way, or anybody who raps and did it in the old way where you perform and you tour and you go to local bullshit open mics and blah, blah, blah. Anybody who did it like that has had a bad set. The best of the best have been booed and all that shit, and what you'll realize is it's not that bad. Like, even when you have a bad set, it's not that bad. It's actually kind of cooler. It's kind of a better story and more interesting. So I think that you said you've been doing it for 3 years, and you're saying, is this something that I should worry about this early on, or just focus on perfecting my craft? I don't know. I'd have to hear where you're at. You know, some people in 3 years are fucking geniuses. Some people just will never be good. I'd have to hear where you're at in order to answer that question. But that kind of proves my point, because back in the day, part of perfecting your craft was the live show, and now it's just different. So I would recommend doing a show. Forget your music career. Just do it for your own personal growth, man. Go do a show. Go to a fucking open mic night and fucking start rapping. You know what I mean? Do it. Fail on purpose. I don't know. Just do it for your own personal growth, man. Like, forget your music entertainment shit. All right, this is the last one, but I think this is a pretty long one. Must have been a reason that I used this one. All right. This is CJ from AZ. Well, now I live in Hawaii, and I have to say, man, you're missing out. My fiance and I moved out here last November, and it's a big culture shock. We're getting married we're getting married. We're getting married in November, so if you need an excuse to come out here, use that. Or if you're just going to say no and keep saying that you won't want to go and don't, well, then you can kiss my ass. Come on, man. Go to Allegiant Airlines. They have cheap flights from LA to Hawaii. You book months in advance. You know what? Next time, I just took my trip to Nashville. I didn't spend. Luckily, it wasn't too expensive of a trip. Granted, it cost me some fucking money, and spent a lot of money on drinks and food while I was down there. Didn't spare no expense on food, but luckily, even without sparing any expense in Nashville, it's not too bad. Next time I get a big check for something, I don't know what the fuck that'll be. I'll go to Hawaii. Hawaii is difficult too, because you got to make the choice of like where you want to go, what island. I think I want to go to Maui, but that's neither here nor there. So thank you for the link that you sent me to Allegiant Air. There's a link. The rest is on you, bro. If you don't get this in time, congrats on reaching episode 100. The new CD is dope, and the T-shirts are top. Well, if he knows the new CD... Oh, wait, he's saying that ahead of time. All right, now to the email. It's long, just to warn you. Lately, I've been depressed, and for some reason, I decided to open your podcast. It's been a while since I heard you speak your mind, but I began listening to episode 97. You talked about depression, negativity, and religion. Depression and negativity. I hate my job, I really do. I didn't go to audio school and $11,000 later to be a damn AV tech. I get tired of being around people that I have nothing in common with. I want to go back to school for electrical engineering to build mics and compressors, but the school system out here really sucks. While we were in LA, I was interning at Blue Microphones and found that I love it. I want to just quit and go back, but I have a wedding to pay for, an apartment that's expensive, and bills. I feel like my fiance is starting to feel the stress too. I don't want that for her. This lifestyle's not healthy for us mentally. We're stuck on this rock for at least a year and completely limited to what we want to do. Well, doesn't that fucking... The sentiment in that paragraph really is like the opposite of the sentiment in your paragraph where you're trying to get me to go to Hawaii. I guess what you're kind of saying is Hawaii is a great place to live, but it seems like it's more of a place to visit and vacate and chill. Because it's not a place to live and work if you have like kind of like a dream of what you want to do. I'd be interested in knowing what you do right now there as an AV tech. You must put on like the little shows at the resorts. I don't know what you do. For all the listeners out there, make sure you do all your research or at least visit where you want to move to first. I'm not saying I hate Hawaii. Matter of fact, I love it. I just don't like some of the people I work with, and it looks like people can't move forward in their career unless their career is hotel resort related. I honestly don't care if I quit and don't get involved with music out here. I just want to save up and leave. The world is so damn big just to stay in one spot. Well, damn, dude. Sounds like you don't like Hawaii. What are you saying? I agree with what you're saying, though. It's good to move around. Religion. Also hate to bust your balls, but you know how You know how you say that after you die, you're just done? Well, that's kind of true in the religion I was raised in, Jehovah's Witness. It's pretty much like when you go to sleep and don't feel pain. You're emotionless and no sense of your existence. However, they do believe in resurrection of righteous and unrighteous people after Armageddon into a paradise on earth. I'm not going to get into detail about that stuff. I've been out of religion for a few years and I know got nothing against it. Who knows? I might just go back to a meeting sometime. I just thought I would share that bit of knowledge with you. I hear all these dumbass stories how people hate religion and all that. However, my mother was a great role model. She just had that universal love and humility that you can't hate. Some of my friends would rather hang out with her than me. I digress. I understand that because my mom is religious. My mom's not crazy religious, but she certainly is a devout Catholic and very into prayer and whatnot. And you know, she kind of does have that universal love and humility that you can't hate, in your words. But in my opinion, nothing is easy, including faith. It's hard to get it, but to get rid of it is easy. Well, as I said on the last one, I admire people that have faith. I admire the faith that it requires to be into religion like that. But I can't bring myself to really believe it. Maybe I'm just too logical. I come at everything with a sense of logic. And there's just too many different faiths in the world for me to be arrogant enough to believe that I'd be right. That said, a lot of people would say, well, all you got to really believe, no matter what you pray or whatever, blah, 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 you just got to know that there's a God and that he loves you or whatever. And I don't know that I believe in that. Like, there may be a God, but to say that he loves us. Yeah, my thing is like that I used to always say is like I picture us like an ant farm. Like, you know when a kid has an ant farm and for like, you know, he puts some ants the first day, just looks at it, and then it just kind of like becomes whatever the fucking ants want to do, they want to do. That's probably more accurate. All right, and lastly, he says, positive thinking. Overall, man, I know I can't complain too much. I'm in Hawaii after all with the beautiful beaches and scenery. Maybe I'm just venting. I also want to say thanks, Mike. I don't know if you know, but your podcasts help not just me, but others out there. I'm hoping I can just be happy and focus on my bass guitar, making music, getting back on my podcast for the peers. Oh, shit. What's up, dude? That's what's up. Yeah, I know. I've listened to your podcast. My future wife, take classes online, etc., etc. Recommend. I've been reading this motivational book called A Boy, a Burrito, and a Cookie. It's about the janitor who created the Flamin' Hot Cheeto. Damn, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. I also recommend CourseRA.org for free online education. You know what? I was just thinking about, I wonder if they teach classes in different computer programs. Let me check this out. Because my boy Kurt put me onto this other shit. Called lynda.com with a Y. lynda.com. And like it has like tutorial classes and like not just like one fucking YouTube video, like video after video after video tutorials on like every single computer program, like whether it be Logic or Pro Tools or Photoshop or fucking Microsoft Word or whatever. Like, and it's like you pay a monthly fee of $25 and you can just fucking take whatever you want. This course RA looks pretty cool. Let me see. Figure out what I'm looking for. What I'm mostly interested in doing, y'all, is of course this doesn't really work like that. Cause I'm trying to learn some new audio programs besides Pro Tools, but this is more like college courses rather than teaching you how to learn software. Music wise, I don't know. He recommends Random, aka Mega Ran, who I know personally, who's awesome. You should check it out, megaran.com. Well, I guess that's it, Wax. I don't know if this will make it on the podcast, but hey, peace, man. Did I even say your name? Oh, CJ from Arizona. And hey, man, good luck with everything. Good luck out there in Hawaii. You sound like you're just kind of like love, and you got like a little bit of a love-hate thing going on, and you're just trying to find a middle ground in your life. At least you got your wife, and you like that, and you like being in Hawaii, but you don't like your job. And you don't like where that's going. You don't like feeling stuck where you're at. So that's normal in life, man. You can't have everything run swimmingly all the time. And Yeah, I don't know what the fuck else to tell you besides that. This is Wax's podcast. Be safe out there.